Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, a lot of people have, over several weeks now, suggested that something is done in particular. And that is that me and Craig do a Zoom call and a chat and discuss things. Well, fingers have been pulled out, we've got our act together and we've actually done it. And so, what I'm about to present to you in a moment is the first of what we hope to be a very regular thing. A discussion, and what we're going to hopefully do is 1 week on my channel, 1 week on Craig's channel, and reverse it around like that on a basis. It just means that one person's responsible for doing the edit and getting it up and out, you see. It seems fair like that. So I've done the first one because one of us had to, so I'll do it. It's fine. And so what I'm presenting now is a quick video. I think it's only about 25 minutes, something like that. It's not a particularly long video, maybe half an hour. And it's just, two old farts moaning, really. But if it's amusing for you, do please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and whatever it is, definitely comment. Give us lots of comments and let us know what you think and, what we should do. I don't care how rude it is. I'm a grown-up. Here goes. So, hi Craig, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Fox. How are you?
I'm all right. And you can call me David. Everyone knows it's David, for heaven's sake. So
I wasn't sure that having a nom de plume if it was common knowledge your name was David.
No, it used to be, but now everybody knows it. So David is fine. So this is really the Craig David experience, isn't it?
Well, I like that, actually.
Now, there's a million things we could discuss, but I just want to say there was one thing in particular that you said in your chat with Chuggy last night, which was about the belief that the wokey liberal left sort of wokerati really think that they are God's gift. They think they're above everyone else. I mean, we are the triumvirate of evil. We're old white men. I mean, we are the very worst of the worst. You've watched Scooby-Doo every week. They pull the mask off. It's an old white man, isn't it? And so we are the worst thing in the world for them. So they think they can attack us. But of course, now they can't. They think they can, but they won't change. And so they will, as you pointed out, be the ones that are going to be probably affected most by this law, because people like us, we can just, don't like that. How dare you have a go at me, and report it. And that's something you said last night, and I landed on that. I thought that was brilliant, so thank you for that. Now, I was going to ask specifically, I want to ask you this question. First of all, should Matheson resign as an MSP?
Yes, is the quick answer, Matheson, but he should probably not be given that option. The biggest issue I had with Matheson's story, and oddly enough, the Matheson story was the driver for me to start doing what I'm doing now, and what you've been doing for a fair bit of time, is bringing things to light about the SNP. And it wasn't so much the fact that he'd racked up £11,000 bill while I was on holiday, and it wasn't even the fact that he'd got us to pay for it, because politicians rip us off all the time. It was the lies. It was a cover-up. And that was the bit where I went, nah, I've had enough. I had a platform which I was doing interviews, podcasts, which I'll carry on doing, a couple of other podcasts a couple of times a month. And I had the platform, and I just took my phone out one day, made up a video about Matheson and this £11,000 phone bill. And then I've not stopped doing videos about the SNP, sort of 10-minute moans. But that was the thing that got me. And, and it was the lies. The other stuff was wrong, and then it was trying to protect my family, but then I'll throw them under a bus, and just this horrible behaviour that if that was somebody down the pub, down your local pub, you wouldn't talk to them. You would just be like, he's an arse, no having that. And that was
it was the multiple lies for me. It was lie, and then he got caught out, and so he lied again.
And Humza saying he'd done nothing wrong.
Oh, well, he was a man of integrity. If that's Humza's idea of integrity, it tells you about Humza Yousaf.
Yeah, well, right now, with this £250,000 in total £750,000, but the second donation in specific. With this story coming out on Saturday in the Telegraph, anybody who questions it's been told, oh, shut up, just let it go. But that's what we were told in November about Matheson. So I was highlighting that today on X to say, look, remember we get told to just ignore this, it's nothing, just get back to business. Well, this exact same is repeating itself now with this UNRWA money.
Because I remember Hamza at the time when this first came out, he said, oh, I'm drawing a line under it. And I remember actually saying in a video, you can draw as many lines under it as you like, but we're not going to draw a line under it.
Yeah. And that was... that's just repeating again now. Everybody wants you to draw a line under this, donation to UNRWA, and it's but the UK government have done the same, and this government done the same. Well, fine, but we're talking about the Scottish government, and it seems to me that the Scottish Nationalist Party and their cult followers, they tell you that Westminster's the worst thing in the world. So Westminster's a way down here in their expectations. But then they want to be measured the same as Westminster because, they do it at Westminster. You're like, well, okay, but you're telling us that Westminster's terrible, they're all corrupt, the Tory party's terrible, the Labour Party aren't much better, but you want to be measured the same as them and say, well, they're doing it as well. Okay. It's bizarre.
Yeah. I mean, they have been weighed, measured and found wanting on everything they do. And it's not, I have a thing. I'm right of centre when it comes to money and I'm left of centre when it comes to people. But I can't abide lies and hypocrisy. And I absolutely loathe all parties because all parties lead to the extremism of what they believe. If people just stood up on a platform and it was them alone, they'd have their beliefs. But when you have a party, those beliefs get pushed to one way or the other.
I don't actually like party politics. What I was brought to believe when I first started voting was I was to vote for someone to go down to Westminster and, he was to look after my best interests. So you would look at the candidates and think, well, out of those 4 or 5 people, that's the one I want to go down and serve me and my best interests in Westminster. But because of party politics now, you're not voting for a guy at all. You're just voting for a colour of his hat.
Yeah. And he will throw you under the bus if it suits the party to do so. And that's why you'll end up... There's a prime example, of course, with Aberdeenshire, where you've got the SNP's official policy is no more oil. And you've got, what's his name, Beryl, is sitting there saying, well, we can't kind of try and keep the oil, got to try and keep the oil. Because he knows that his voters rely, one way or another, either directly, indirectly or tertiarily, to the oil industry.
Well, it's funny you should mention oil because oil, I think it's bizarre, the rewriting of history over oil. Back 2012 and probably up to 2014 with the independence referendum up here, every nationalist underdog was telling you how wonderful we could be. They kept talking about Norway and that's, it was just all oil. Now we've got a coalition government with the Greens. Suddenly oil's the worst thing in the world. And you remind people that a decade ago you were telling us that we were going to be independent and build our country and build a nation through oil, but now it's a bad thing. And they say, no, we didn't. And you go, what? Your whole argument was based, your whole financial argument was based.
I know, but a lot, sorry, just to interrupt very quickly there, I do remember at the time as well, they kept going, oh, look, oil will pay the future, oil's brilliant. And no more had the referendum been lost by them, that the price of oil crashed.
Yeah.
And it went down from like 110 a barrel to about 60 a barrel. And they were like, well, if you'd have had independence, you'd be bankrupt.
Yeah, but according to them now, then we didn't base it on that.
Oh, no, like, that's bollocks, yeah.
Yeah, but that to me, and some people want to fall out with me because I use the term cult, and there was something the other night, some guy tried to have a pop at me on X, and I said, well, that's what a cult would do. It doesn't matter whether Humza's right or wrong. Whatever Humza says, your default setting is you'll just repeat it. So if Humza says I'm an Islamophobic conspiracy theorist, as he did when that thing came out on Saturday, then you're just going to repeat that. But sit down and debate with me and talk to me, and they don't want to do it. It's total cult behaviour. So they rewrite history. They actually Well, I suppose lies, if you tell yourself enough lies, then it becomes your truth. So your personal truth as well. I never said oil in 2012 to 14. So it's no wonder, but again, it's very cult behaviour.
Well, wasn't it Fergus the other day said exactly that? He said it used to be a party where you could have a difference of opinion, where you could voice your consciousness and work for your constituents. And now, if you go anything against what the leadership says, you're deemed to be an outsider, and then you lose the whip and all this.
David, I've had correspondence from people within the SNP who shall remain nameless, but you would know their names.
Yeah.
Who support what I'm doing. But they wouldn't say a word publicly. They would not even question the stuff that I'm questioning, but they just wanted to know that they and others inside the SNP are actually following what I'm doing, agree with what I'm doing, and support what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But none of them, apart from Fergus, will come out and do anything that doesn't toe the party line.
No. I mean, I think, and I've mentioned this to you like privately on a phone call now, I've said to you, I think Fergus Ewing is the only one of them with honour, truly with honour. He's the only SNP politician I think is universally respected.
Yeah, the other one that I've got, I don't have any hatred for. The majority of them, and that's a big, strong word to use, but it is, and it's evolved over more than a decade. That is Kate Forbes. But Kate Forbes being the leader of the SNP would probably be worse for unionists and for the union than the
That's because she's educated, sensible, and sane.
I had to laugh as Hums's world was crashing round about him on Saturday morning, and he was putting out his Twitter tirades.
Oh yeah.
Kate Forbes took a lovely photograph from the coast in one of her lovely islands. I think it was up northwest. And she said, it's fantastic, relaxed, thinking about housing policy, and spoke about everything other than Gaza. And I thought, she's actually just having a mad pop at them.
Yeah.
So you're all just like crackpots, you're all blowing your top, having Twitter meltdowns, and I'm sitting in this wee beach talking, thinking and considering nice things like housing and education and stuff. You thought, well, as a politician.
Well, she said that she acknowledged, what was like, I can't remember the word perfect, but more or less paraphrasing. She said something like, we've got to accept that the independence dream is over for now. We've got to put it to one side and deal with the problems that we've got. Well, wow. I mean, that is just going against everything that Sturgeon and Yousaf have done for the last, 12 years.
But see if they took a pause in 2014 and thought, okay, we didn't convince enough people to vote for independence. Let's govern it with the book of rules we've got. Let's take, Devo Max as we can, whatever powers we can, and do as good a job as we can. And then in a generation, a lifetime, or as it turned out 3.5 weeks later, ask for another referendum, they would have a better chance. Because, I mean, the referendum was no different to any general election or most political questions. You've got people with me who are, it would take a big argument for me not to have voted in the way I did at the referendum. On the other side, you've got people who would just vote yes if you told them we were going to be bankrupt for 20 years. It didn't care.
Yeah.
But it's the people in the middle that are the kingmakers.
The floaters.
And that there would have been people contemplating the referendum decision right up to the polling booth. But I'd made my decision as soon as the thing was called, right? As soon as they said we're having a referendum, I knew how I was voting. But there would have been a bit of chunk in the middle, and it was them that won the vote for me.
It's currently about 11%, isn't it? It's between 10 and 11% on all the polls that are the floaters. Yeah. But when you see without them, the difference is only 4% one way or the other. That 10 or 11%, that's the decision. Yeah.
You see if the SNP had acted, put the big boy pants on and acted like a proper political party from 2014 onwards and called a referendum just now, they would have had a damn sight better chance of winning it. Because instead of doing that, to try and talk people into their side, they've just created more division. They've been more divisive. And their politics. I mean, see the gender recognition stuff. See that. See Humza.
That's destroyed them. That has completely broke them. Yeah.
See that, and even this stuff for the UNRWA. That's enough for people in the middle. A big chunk of them to say, I ain't voting for you.
Yeah.
So, and if they just if they had governed properly, they could have built something nice, better than we've got now. And then the middle ground that lost them the referendum because they voted against them would have been more inclined to swing with them. But no, they couldn't. And I tell you why they couldn't. Because they're not a political party. They're activists that have now become politicians. And if you want anything to back that up, you just look at them and the quality of the MPs they've got and MSPs and the Greens. They don't have
dire, aren't they? No.
They don't have politicians. So, I mean, they've been, to be honest with you, I actually prefer Alex Salmond as a politician now than I did when he was in power, right? Some of the stuff he's coming away with now, you go, you know what, Alex, you make sense there. Don't agree with you, but you make sense.
Oh, no. If I will, I've got to say about Alex, when he was running the SNP were a real party. They offered options. They did things. They said things. Their core belief was they were pushing for independence, but they were just a party with a different view. When he was ousted in basically a coup d'etat, he was taken out, and Sturgeon went in. It went from being a party that had a different view to being a party where there was no more such thing as difference of view anymore. It became hatred. You couldn't disagree. You had to hate. And that, I think, has destroyed Scotland. And I don't think that can ever be repaired.
No, and the thing that Scotland's bored of, unless you're in the cult because you lap it up and just repeat it, it doesn't matter what the question is. The answer has to have one of the two things involved in the answer, and it's either Brexit or Westminster. That's all you hear. You don't hear.
Big Boy did it. Yeah, Big Boy did it.
You don't hear. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter the question. The answer will either have Brexit or Westminster in it because it's always somebody else's fault. And the Scottish public are actually wearing thin with it. The amount of people that have came to me since I started doing my videos who say, I've voted SNP for 20 years, I ain't doing it again. Even people, I wanted independence, but I couldn't have it with these people.
Comments. I get them in the comments. They said, I voted it, blah, blah, blah. And I had one, I'm not going to name, but I know who it is. And they said, chap said, I voted SNP. He said, no, I was watching your videos. And when I started watching it, I hate watching them. And I was thinking, oh, you're just an old wanker, unionist wanker. He said, then I started listening to what you were actually saying. I started looking at the stuff you were saying. And I realised you were telling the truth. He says, I won't vote for them again. I couldn't believe I'd been lied to.
Aye, but see, the penny will drop.
Yeah,
I had a campaign. I'm not going to bore anybody with it in this chat, but I had a campaign before and I went through the exact same cycle. People saying, no, you're a liar. And then eventually they caught up and thought, Christ, that guy's right. Because your default setting is you don't want to accept bad things about your football team or your political party or your country, right? So that's your default setting. So if somebody comes along and says, by the way, the guy running your mob is a bad man, your default setting is to say, no, he isn't. He's a great man. But eventually, through time, and that's right, I did a campaign previously, and my mantra was just tell the truth. Because eventually, the penny will drop, but the other side will tell.
This is why the SNP don't do the truth. The truth for them is like toxin. It's poisonous. They daren't have the truth out there because the truth is so, for them, so damaging. That's why they lie about everything. In case, I think they actually train themselves to lie so that they never ever tell the truth in case they want to accidentally tell the truth.
Aye. But and again, it's total cult behaviour. I mean, I put some stuff out to explain. UNICEF should have got the money that Humza gave to UNWRA.
Yeah,
and people are still. They're stuck. One I put out just the other day, and you thought, like, right, have you sat down and taken on board what I'm saying to you here? But you're Islamophobic. You're a what is it called? A genocide denier. Like, what? Enabler. What? Based on what? Based on I would prefer that Scotland had gave a load of money to UNICEF that would have went to Gaza as opposed to another thing. But no, you're wrong. Like, how can I be wrong? The evidence I've shown you came from ScotGov. Right?
I didn't invent it. It wasn't invented. It's their words.
You and your lies. All right. How can an FOI response from ScotGov be lies? Right? And that's all I've done. I've obtained the information and I've gave it away to somebody else. And I'm a liar for handling truth.
Yeah, and it's denial. It's absolute denial. But again, that is a cult thing. They bring that in. People will tell you this, and you must never believe them. And they build themselves this cocoon, and they just won't believe anything because they've been conditioned.
They surround themselves by people that think the same as well, right? They don't debate or talk to people that don't. So, they just block everybody out. I mean, I've got family members. I've got really good people that were started off life as workmates that became good friends. I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about me and my partner and them and their partner. Don't talk to me now. And that was before I started these bloody videos, right? But it was all just based. So when they keep shoving everybody else away, they're left with people that all think the same as them. And that's why they thought they were winning the referendum, because everybody they spoke to said they were voting yes, right? And but
they never got out into the real world. They never met other people.
No, and the silent majority saved the day. But you mentioned the chorus, the thing I've done with Sandy, and this hate act, right? The hate crime. They've tried to get this through, which they have. They try to get the gender recognition through. They try to get the thing where the nation was your nanny. Remember that? They were trying to...
with the named thing with the children.
Yes. Now, thankfully, those two failed, and horrifically, they got this one through. See if they'd got those three things through, we're in a worse state than North Korea. Yeah. And that's where they're trying to go with. But what you might not be aware of, we had a similar thing, offensive behaviour at the Football Act.
No, I am aware of that, yeah.
What happened with that? That was brought up with people who claim to be anti-sectarian, but really are just wanting one side to get shouted at and not the other. So that was forced through. Wasn't thought out straight. And the people who thought that, so you get this team here, they thought that these fans here were all going to get arrested because of this offensive behaviour. It turned out there was more of these getting arrested for it than these ones. And they
didn't like it. Yeah.
Because what happened was, this side thought, well, this thing's coming on board, I better just check my behaviour. This side thought they could never do anything wrong, and that's how they get arrested. Yeah. But the exact same thing's going to happen here. I'm prepared to bet good money on it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because they are virtuous. They are the wonderful ones. They can do no wrong. And, let us tell you what you're doing wrong. Let us tell you how you live your life.
Yeah.
Go ahead then. Go on. Let me hear it. Right, ping. There you go. Off. Hate crime.
And the 1st of April is going to be chaos up here, because it's going to be a bun fight to try and see who can get arrested. Somebody from the other side arrested first, right? But people like me, I'm always watchful and careful what I say. I'll be even more watchful and careful what I say. But the people that think they can do no wrong will not change.
No.
And they'll end up arrested. And I can't wait for it, because it's going to be so...
And then you'll see the faces. And they'll be crying like babies.
It's exactly what happened with the offensive behaviour at football up here. It was a Scottish law, and eventually they repealed it.
That was repealed, yeah.
Yeah,
that was all the old firm crap, though, wasn't it, really?
That was all it was.
Yeah.
That was all it was. Yeah. Don't get me started in the old firm, mate.
No, I know.
Put that aside, David, right?
Hey, Forest Mechanics, man.
Forest Mechanics. Aye.
I got friends live up in Inverness, so where we go, we pop in to see them every time. That's how I know the bloody A96, and what a shitty road that is.
Yeah. Well, A9 might be finished one day.
Aye. I won't hold my breath.
No, I wouldn't.
Now, talking of football, you run a team, don't you?
Yeah, kids' football club, yeah.
And you've got to go off and do something for them now, don't you?
Yeah, we train on a Friday night, and then tomorrow's a big game. Wee club's 8 years old, and we've had 5 attempts at the Scottish Cup. And out of the 5 attempts, we've batted above where we should for an 8-year-old club. But because it's not all age groups in Scotland going to the Scottish Cup.
Yeah.
So, a couple of years before we had teams old enough, and then we had lost a year through COVID. So we've had 5 attempts at it, and tomorrow our under-14s are in the semi-final of it.
Oh, cracking.
Now, just to give you some sort of idea of what we're talking about here, I think in the first age group, there's about 500 entrants. That's under 13s. That's the first year they play in this competition. And in the under 14s, there's about 400 to 450 clubs. So to be in the top 4 and a 5th shot at it, it's quite a big deal for me. So can't wait to that tomorrow.
Oh, well, I'll give them the best of luck, and I'm sure everyone else will.
It's 3. I don't know when you'll put the video out, but it'll be 3 p.m. Saturday up at Broadwood Stadium, which is where Clyde used to play. It's a lovely
this video, I will be putting this out lunchtime tomorrow. So this will be before. This will be about midday. So,
well, the time it goes out, my wee stomach will be in knots and getting all worried. And, I get more nervous for these kids when they play than I ever did when I played football myself. So it's a great experience for them, and just, best of luck to them. If they go and play as best as they can and somebody beats them, there'll be some team that beat them. I just hope they don't, if they go and play the best they can have no arguments. They probably will win unless they come against a great team. But the fear is they go and they don't perform them, they get beat, and then they always think, well, what if? So just go out tomorrow and smash it.
Well, do you know what happened to my team the other night? My old team, where I used to live, Luton. Did you see the result?
No.
They were 3-0 up at half time.
Brilliant. Beat 4-3.
They lost 4-3.
It's football, mate.
I couldn't watch it in the end. My old heart, you bastard! It was on the telly.
No, that's no good for your heart. But that's football. We're eternal optimists. Doesn't matter what club they are. And it's a roller coaster, and that's probably why we all love it so much, because of the roller coaster it puts us on, and that's probably why these things happen here.
Yeah. Well, I've still got some on top, but let me tell you, it's sitting few and far between.
Before Rangers went into administration in 2012, that was a lot thicker, and then we put up with some nonsense during that time, and that's the result. So I'm blaming Rangers for that.
What I'm going to get is one of those Ian Porter hats. You've seen them, that little thing there, but it's got the hair built in on the top.
Yeah. Good luck to you.
Anyway, Craig, thanks very much for joining me. This is the first one. We'll do way more of these. But I'll put it up, and I'll throw this out. This will be midday tomorrow, so keep an eye out for it.
No problem. I'll get it shared as soon as I see it. And all the best, and thanks for the support you've given me.
No problem. We're on the same side, mate.
Yeah, and the people that follow you have been very supportive of me as well. And as I said, it's not. I think I said in one of my competitions, it's not like we're selling trainers and Adidas and you're Nike and people can only buy one pair.
We just give the same story, different directions,
Yeah, and if it's the type of things people enjoy, I'm sure the vast majority watch both channels and every video.
I hope so. Yeah. Anyway, Craig, see you, sir. I'll finish there.
Take care, sir.
All right. Cheers. Thank you. Bye.
Bye now.